Well, they can't all be winners. Welcome back to Rebels Revisited, where it's time to cover the best episode in the show! Okay, fine, it's largely considered the worst episode of the show. I can't imagine this is going to be terribly long, but there's definitely still a thing or two to be said about this one, so shall we? This is Iron Squadron Revisited. So this episode is basically about this group of 3 kids, especially Mart, who think they can fight the Empire but are actually in way over their heads. So Ezra tries to reason with them, that doesn't work, and then Thrawn sends Constantine to attack them, and then they have to rescue Mart, and they do. There it is, that's the episode. The saving grace of this episode is what it does for Ezra. This is honestly not bad in terms of checking in on his character arc. So these 3 kids, but especially Mart, are annoying and cocky and impulsive. It's like Zeb says.
Sounds like a ship full of Ezras.
But not this Ezra. Not Season 3 Ezra. Season 1 Ezra. Mart even looks like Season 1 Ezra. Mart exists for 2 reasons. One is to humanize Commander Sato, which works modestly but functionally and makes your hour hit harder, so, you know, mission accomplished. And the other is to juxtapose Ezra with a younger version of himself. The show can't literally pull Ezra out of Season 1 and put him next to Ezra in Season 3 so we can all compare them, so this is as close as we can get. This season, Ezra's been going through a rough patch in his arc. The dark side brought out the worst in him for sure, and he'll always be the baby of the Ghost Crew, so compared to the rest of the characters, he often seems immature, no matter what season it is. Sometimes you can lose sight of how much he's grown, but this episode is a good space to display that. He's the mature one in this situation, and it is nice to get that perspective of him. Ezra does have a moment I really do like, and I want to highlight it. Here's the first part.
Look, I didn't want to leave my home either. I was so afraid, and I didn't know.
We're not afraid of the Empire.
I know you're not. You're afraid of losing everything, like I did.
This is actually really important for Ezra. He's recognized the way that he felt in Season 1, and he's able to describe it, and that just screams healing. You know, self-awareness is such an important step, and this scene makes it really clear that Ezra has moved on from who he was in Season 1, despite the struggles that he still has. He's still a bit of a mental and emotional mess, but he's also made so much progress, and I like how that's highlighted here. And the rest of it?
So you understand why we do what we do.
I understand that the Empire wants us to fight because that makes it easy for them to destroy us.
So you're saying we should do nothing?
No, I'm saying how we choose to fight is just as important as what we fight for.
The growth. The growth! This is actually kind of huge, you guys, to hear Ezra say all that. It is actually very reminiscent of what Yoda told him in Shroud of Darkness. Here's a reminder of that.
Yeah, but Master Yoda, how are we supposed to win if we don't fight back?
Win? Win. How did I choose to win? The question is.
We already chose. We're going to fight.
And Yoda also talked a lot about fear and not letting fear twist into anger. Ezra didn't internalize those lessons before Twilight of the Apprentice, which kind of led to his failure, but it seems like he did internalize them at some point, which is really amazing to see. Maybe Twilight of the Apprentice was what made Ezra internalize it. Maybe he had to experience the consequences firsthand in order to really understand what Yoda was trying to tell him. In Shroud of Darkness, the act of fighting was really important to Ezra. He didn't think they could win without putting up a fight, and he felt that way because he still held on to the anger about his lot in life that had been a part of him since Season 1, and it also makes sense because he had to spend a very long stretch of years of his life fighting just to survive every single day. But obviously he's past that now, so he needs to let go of that anger and that fear. And here, Ezra demonstrates that he has moved on from that. He sees a fuller picture and he understands that people like Imperials are concerned with violence. People who want peace need to put a little more thought into things. Ezra's clearly taken a step forward on the right path, and I really do love that for him. What else? Oh, Thrawn was in this one. Not a lot, but I still liked what we got, especially that bit between him and Commander Sato.
Commander John Sato, I wondered what it would take to motivate your return to my cargo.
And now you know, Admiral. Until we meet again.
Yes, until we meet again.
A Thrawn and Sato rivalry wasn't really in the cards for this series, which is fine, because there wasn't a lot of room for it. But if it were in the cards, I think it could have been interesting. It's just that the tension between them right there is so good that it kind of makes you want more of it. But they weren't legitimately setting up a rivalry between them or anything. But if they were, it would have been good. It's also worth noting that literally Lars Mikkelsen's voice coming through the comlink, like disembodied, is enough to be intimidating and create tension, because Lars was like one of the best casting decisions in like literally all of Star Wars. Oh, and how could I forget the triumphant return of Space Waffles? Space Waffles are very important to me. They are a part of my history. Back when I was more of a spam account, I frequently used Space Waffles as an exclamation. I used to say holy Space Waffles all the time. This is Rebels Resistance history, Rebels Resistance lore, and yeah, that's all I've got. Just because I really do like the Ezra stuff, I think I enjoyed this episode more than the average viewer, but I can't deny that it's one of the weakest. It just is. I mean, there isn't any part of Rebels that I actually dislike, personally. It's just different tiers of liking it. This is probably on one of the lower tiers of liking it, but I still like it. I hope you could at least see that this episode has a purpose in, like, the scope of the series, because that's what we do here on Rebels Revisited. We recognize the purpose in even the weakest parts of the show, because I do believe that every episode has a purpose. And we have some more shenanigans with the next episode, because Hondo returns, so that's always fun. Stay tuned for that. Until then, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.